Welcome back to the To Be a Boy podcast with me, Elliott Ray.
And me, Joeli.
Today's episode is a powerful one. We are joined by someone whose life story doesn't just inspire, it challenges us to rethink what boys carry, what they survive, and who they're allowed to become. Fredi Nwaka is a father of 5, including 4 boys. He is an award-winning filmmaker, including most recently the film Filmmaker with Peter Andre. He is an actor, mentor, and founder of the Power of a Man Awards. He is also now the author of the new, raw, unforgettable memoir, Boy. So Fredi grew up as a black child in a predominantly white seaside town, navigating foster care, identity struggles, child abuse, loss, and the search for belonging. In this conversation, we'll talk to Fredi about the parts of the story he's carried for decades, the pressure to fit in, the trauma he and others have learned to normalize, and the identity that he's pieced together on his own. This episode is about the boys who feel unseen, the boys who learn to survive before they ever learn to breathe, and the boys who grow up trying to understand where they fit in the world. Welcome to the podcast, Fredi.
Thank you for having me, man. How are you guys doing?
We are well.
We are doing pretty well. I'm very excited to talk to you. How are you doing?
Do you know what? I am actually great. I went to go see my dad. My dad's 97. And every time I say to him, Dad, how are you doing? He's like, the heart is still beating. So if at 97, if your heart is still beating and you're doing well, how can I ever complain? I'm good.
That's a win.
That's a win-win. Yeah, I'm
That's
telling
a
you.
win-win.
Big capital W with underline and everything.
So Fredi, we've been looking forward to this conversation so much, and I want to get straight into it. You know, reading your book was a very emotional experience, and it just made me think about all the men that I know that I've worked with and in my life that are living with pain and trauma they haven't unpacked. You know, we know that men are less likely to go to therapy, but even within their friendships, they're less likely to have those really introspective, inward-looking conversations. And you say in your book, if all you do is hide, you never heal. So I want to ask you, why was it important for you to tell your story and share so honestly?
Do you know what? There's a few things. So firstly, in order to heal it, you have to feel it, right? Also, men, we don't speak in general, we don't talk. And I thought it was important. There's a lot of young men and older men out there that are carrying a lot of luggage, a lot of baggage, a lot of trauma. And they just don't know how to talk and how to express themselves. So for me, I thought by writing this book and being a voice for many, there's lots of men that have read my book and are like, oh, wow. Because of my coloured past per se, it's almost like if I can talk about these things and if I can be open and if I can be transparent, I'm hoping that other men will read it and be like, well, Fredi can do it, man. I definitely can talk about it. They were the main reasons, but another big reason is legacy. Legacy is an important thing to me. The name is a powerful thing. So I wanted to leave something for my children and my children's children and my children's children's children so that when I'm no longer here, they have that point of that was my dad, that was my granddad, that was someone in our line, in our family line that's done something. So legacy was a massive part of it as well.
Yeah, and you said that men have read it and said, oh, Fredi can share, then it gives me permission to. And when we think about if I was to draw like a traditional man, it might be you, right? Tall, you're hench, you got big muscles.
They're fading now, but they're there.
They're there. I've seen you in person. He's a big guy. So you're the archetype of what we would look at as a traditional, like masculine man's man. And obviously I know you from your rapping days back in the day. So people might view you as a man's man, traditional man, but you're being so open and honest. Did you feel pressure in any way to conform to any identity?
You know what? I've never really been one to succumb to pressure, you know? I've never really been that guy, to be fair. And honestly, I mean, when I used to rap, as you know, I used to be battling. And one of the things that I used to do is that I used to tell everybody everything about me in a battle so that then they'd have nothing on me, right? So if I tell you warts and all, everything about me, then in a battle, what are you going to say? Because everyone already knows it. So I've been pretty much an open book for most of my life. And so just putting it on paper and in a book was just an extension kind of what I would do anyway. I guess you can have people talking. I know a lot of people that didn't know my story and that like, oh, wow. But it's more from a place of them being surprised. I didn't feel that as pressure, if that makes sense. It's just made people look at me differently. And I guess in most parts, it's kind of giving me a different level to what they already knew about me. I guess Onion's got loads of layers, right? And I feel like this has just added another layer for men to be like, okay, didn't know that about him. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of, I think it's done more of that than anything else. I've not felt any other kind of pressure or any and definitely not no negative pressure, if that makes sense.
So you write about your psychotherapist friend in the book. You say, she showed me how to find and meet the little boy inside me, the scared, confused, beautiful little boy who had never really been held properly, even when surrounded by people. She taught me how to take time and sit with him, to stop rushing past him like he wasn't important, to give him what he never had, real love, attention, and care. Now, we've spoken a lot about perception of boys, especially tall boys, especially big boys, black boys. We see them as adults way before they are. Maybe we see them as not needing love and care and attention, being held. And you've had your own experience of growing up and maybe not getting that love and attention and being held in a way that we would want to. How has that experience shaped your experience now? And also, you've got 4 sons. How do you hold your sons differently to how you were brought up?
Yeah, I think, do you know what? It's really odd. I feel like it's very, very important for fathers to show both sides. I mean, as children, you get this whole thing of be seen and not heard. Do you know what I mean? Like to stay in the corner, be seen and not heard. And I see it quite a bit with my son. My youngest is actually, he's 15. He's just turned 15. And for the early parts, he always wanted to impress me. Like if he gets told off, he'll man up. Or if he wants to do something, he'll look to me for, if does dad think it's all right? Do you know what I mean? And I think it's important that we let our young people, especially young boys, know that it's okay to not be okay. So I spend a lot of time telling my sons every day when I speak to them, I love you. We do hugs. We do kisses on the forehead. We do cuddles. Do you know what I mean? We don't do the whole, let's be strong. Because there's times to be strong, right? If we're going to go and lift the bed up, you better be strong, bro. Yeah. I need strong. You know what I mean? If we're gonna go outside and do the garden, I need strong. That's when I need strong. Yeah. When I need you to be strong, you better be strong. But when it's time to be emotional, or like your sister's upset about something, I need you to be soft. Or if your brother's come home from school and there's been an incident at school and he doesn't know who to talk to, I need you to hold him and say, no, bro, it's all right, man. Don't say, just ignore them. Do you know what I mean? So it's important that as fathers, we teach our young guys, our young sons that so that they can pass it on. I never really had that. I had to find my own way. And I guess that leads you into all kinds of stuff, which again, my past took me into these journeys and places to try and navigate and find that which I didn't have. Do you know what I mean? Which is what I'm now passing on to my children. I hope that answers your question. I think I went off on a little tangent, but I think that kind of
it does. It does. And I think about my own dad because I've seen him cry like 3 times. And the first time was at his mum's funeral. The third time, I would say, when I got my MB, when it was announced. And the second time was when we were just randomly having dinner as a family. My sister was there, all our kids, and my dad just cried because he was so happy because he didn't have that when he was growing up.
Wow.
His dad was quite abusive and physically and whatnot. And when I think about the upbringing he had, I have so much respect for him now because I'm like, you found care for me when you didn't have that growing up yourself. But you figured out what I needed when that was absent from your past.
So look at this now, which is really ironic about what you just said. So when I came out of the care system, right, I hated my mum for many, many years for various reasons, right? And I remember all the stuff I got involved in on the roads, the gang stuff, the street stuff. When my mum was sick, my mum passed away in 2019 from dementia. And leading up to that, I really, really, really wanted to cry because I was like, if you can't cry when your mum passes away, then what's wrong? Something ain't right. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, I was like, part of me was like, if I don't cry, it would have reinforced some of the things that people have thought about me over the years. He's a monster. He's this, he's that. Do you know what I mean? And so I wanted to feel human. It sounds really odd, but I wanted to feel human. So when my mum passed away, I was crying like I had hay fever. Tears were coming down and people were like, no, be strong for the man. It's okay. I'm like, no, you don't get it. I want to cry. Like I was actually over the moon that I was crying because it gave me that emotion that I just didn't think I even really had properly. Do you know what I mean? So it's ironic that you said that your father cried at his mum's funeral, and that was the same thing that for me, that was a beautiful space. And that allowed me to be okay to cry. Like before that, I cried a couple of times, but very few people have seen me cry. We're not doing it again. It's you know what I mean? We're not doing the teary thing. What, me? You want to see Nah, we're not doing that. That's how I used to be. Do you know what I mean? But crying, tears cleanse the soul, man. Tears cleanse the soul. It's nice when you cry. It releases something.
And it's interesting with the funeral thing because I feel like, especially at black funerals, like we wear sunglasses. You know, a lot of us, especially the men, wear sunglasses.
They do that. They do that to look cool, man.
Yeah, I think it's look cool, but I think it's also so people don't see them crying.
Yeah.
You know, it's so like I'm going to cry, but you're not going to know I'm crying. And it's that kind of, even at a funeral, we don't even allow ourselves to show that we're upset.
It's really odd. It's a really odd, man. And I challenge that all the time. I feel like there's a lot of strength in vulnerability. And that's what I tell my sons all the time. And so sometimes being seen, crying is an emotion, right? And it's for the most part an involuntary emotion. So no one says, oh, I want to cry and cry. So if you're crying, there's something that's triggered inside you that makes you feel that emotion. And it's part of human nature. And it's a beautiful thing. And I think we just need to learn as humans to embrace it. We cry when we're angry. We cry when we're happy. We cry when we're sad. It's all the same emotion in different ways. So if you're okay to cry when you're happy, why are you not okay to cry when you're sad? It's the same. It's the same. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I try to kind of share with my children.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think an important message for young people to hear and parents to hear as well. So growing up, you grew up in an area called Deal.
Yeah.
Which is a predominantly white seaside town in the kind of 70s, 80s. And you were obviously a black boy in that area. I read that you said you thought you were the only black boy in the world.
I thought I was the only black person in the world. I didn't even know I was black. I thought I was white with a tan. I never even, like, I'm telling you, young people don't see color, right? When you're young, you don't see color. You just see good, bad, nice, horrible. So I just waking up in the morning and just seeing hands, and face, but I'm not thinking, oh, I'm black, because I never saw another one to look at. So I'm seeing other white people and thinking that I look the same as them, but I'm just a bit darker. I didn't realize that I was a whole different color and culture, and do you know what I mean?
So how did that shape your sense of identity then, like growing up and not necessarily seeing people like you around?
It was mad, man. I mean, you know what? It wasn't mad at the time. It was mad when I left it to look back on it. So growing up in Deal, obviously my family was white. My friends were all white. I was playing in the cornfields that I didn't know any better because that was my life. When I came to London and I saw other black people, I was like, wow, because in Deal, the only black people I saw were on jam jars, like Gollywogs, Black and White Minstrel Show, Tarzan, where you got like blackface. Like I never saw no other black people. And then when I came to London, I'm like, oh, where there's others? I was a bit upset. So I'm not the only one then. I was me thinking I was special. Like there were other ones that I was seeing around now. And I'm like, oh, there's more of me. And so then I began to look at the fact that, wow. And when I came to London, it was a bit odd because being black, other black people thought I was odd because I was doing like, come on, Arlene and all that, was dancing like that. You know what I mean? I was into Wham, ABBA, and stuff.
Listeners, you need to put on your video right now. Put your video on right now. If you listen to the audio,
I was like, stand and deliver. I was doing that, and I was doing all the dances and Dexy's Midnight Runners. You know what I mean? So black people are looking at me like, wow, what's up with this guy? Don't you know about reggae and soul? And I'm like, no, I know about Kim Wilde. I know about ABBA, and I know about Ultravox and Madness. That's what I know about. So black people looked at me like I was a bit mad. And in the 70s, white people looked at me odd because I was black. And it was very racist when I came to London. So I'm like, I didn't fit in. So I used to sit in the playground and play with insects and beetles and spiders because that was my world, didn't it? I was like, during playtime, they're running around. I'm just in the little corner, like playing with ants and insects. I never had no friends like that. I just played by myself. So it was really hard, I guess, as that little child trying to find who I was. And I guess it got to a point where, you start to get caught up in things that are not necessarily for you, gang stuff and all other bit where people accept you. Got into a fight. And when I got into that fight and it ended up a bit tragic, that's when I began to realize, well, people started to like me for the badness that I could do and not for who I was as a person, but any kind of like is like, right? Sometimes you don't care how you get the attention. You just want some attention. And we see that a lot in our young people today. As long as you get some kind of attention, negative, positive, as long as you get something and you're seen, that's what happened to me at an early age. I was being seen for a lot of the wrong reasons, but it was better than not being seen at all.
And what would you say to young boys who are struggling to find their part in where they fit in at school and friends? You said, you were playing by yourself and you didn't really relate to people. What would you say to young boys that are listening right now who feel the same, that they don't fit in?
You know what? For me and for you guys, I would say there's nobody in the world who is better at being you than you. You are an amazing person. Like, no one can be a better version of you than you. So just strive to be the best version of yourself. It's good to have conversations with people and talk, especially as boys. And men, we don't talk a lot. So it's great to have conversations with other boys and other people. And sometimes it's okay to not fit in. Why would you want to fit in anyway? Everyone's unique and everyone's special. And as I got old, I was like, I was the quirkiness. I was cool. Like, see now, back then I was a bit confused, right? You see now, when I go to a pub and ABBA comes on, I'm in there singing Dancing Queen. And it's beautiful. I can go to anywhere in the world. I can go to Scotland. Anywhere. I can come up to you dot's neck of the wood. And I'll be in the pub, having a pint, and I'm singing like Wham or whatever. Or I can go to Kingston and be in the ghetto
Yeah.
or I can go to New York. So it just gives you that worldly experience and confidence. So for younger people, just bask in the uniqueness of you being different to everyone else. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, just enjoy that you are not the same and no one's the same, and just be the best version of you for yourself. That's what's most important. To sit with yourself and be happy with who you are.
I love that. Similar to you, I feel like I can sing to ABBA, but I can also dance to reggae.
You
And
see what I'm saying?
part of my upbringing, I think my parents, I don't know if they did it intentionally, but they surrounded us with so many different people. And I feel like one of my superpowers now is that I can go anywhere.
This is what I'm
and there'll
saying,
be
Elliott.
something that I can relate to. And that's really important for just navigating the world, right?
Bro, me and you could go to...
Let's go to the pub today.
Go to the pub, get a pint, and then we could put on like Our House in the middle of the street, Our House. We could do that. And then tomorrow we could go Brixton and listen to Vibes Cartel.
Yeah, 100%.
You know
and
what I'm saying?
important. Do you know what? That is important to learn to navigate, you know. I think
I'm telling you.
To navigate the corporate world, to navigate friendships, family, class systems, it's important to be able to...
It's a transferable skill. It's a transferable skill. Once you can navigate, the biggest thing is not necessarily always navigating what's outside, it's navigating yourself. When you can understand that you are okay in wherever you are, then you can be okay wherever you are. Do you know what I'm saying? When you feel good within yourself, and that's why I say it's important for young people to be the best version of themselves and be happy with who they are, even if other people don't see them that way. As long as you are happy with who you are, then you can go into spaces anywhere because you're happy wherever you are. And that's why, for me, I say to young people, to my sons, are you okay? If they're okay within themselves and they feel good, the rest outside is, you know what I mean, other people projecting what they're going through onto them. But you're okay. And that's the main thing.
I want to touch on another part of the book, which is obviously sensitive, and, you know, we approach it with care. You spoke about your experience as a child being sexually abused, and you shared in some detail around the actual experiences, like what that was like. And yeah, reading it was emotional. It was very touching, very, very moving. And first of all, I just want to say, like, thank you for sharing that. I think it's going to have a big impact on people who have been through similar experiences. Seeing you sharing it, I think, will give so much permission to other people. I really wanted to ask you in terms of like how you know, men don't talk, right? And especially about things like sexually abused and being sexually abused. Lots of men, especially Black men, like, don't talk about that sort of stuff. How did you like find the strength within yourself to share that publicly? And also, like, what in sharing that, what do you hope to inspire or to help with other kind of young boys as well?
Do you know what? Okay, so, I'm a film writer, director, producer, right? And I was getting ready to make this movie called, well, actually, I did make this film called Some Things, and it was about child abuse in the Black community. We know that, especially in the Black community, it's such a taboo subject, and we don't speak about it, right? So I made this film called Some Things, and my sister said to me, Fredi, you're a hypocrite. I'm like, what are you talking about? We had this little conversation, and she was like, you cannot make a film about this type of thing and not talk about it publicly. So it's that kind of sat with me for a second, and I was like, you know what, you're right. So I screened this film, Some Things, at BAFTA. So an audience of like, I think 300-400 people. And then people were crying and tears and all the rest of it. And I'm like, why are you not crying for? Like, it happened to me. What's going on? Do you know what I mean? Why is everyone else in tears? I'm the one. Anyway, so I came off the stage, and then loads of people, I mean, were coming up to me and were saying, Fredi, it happened to me. It happened to me. Like, my sister abused me, my brother abused me, my dad, my mum's friend. I'm like, what? I could not believe the amount of other Black people in the space that were coming to me and telling me it happened to them. And they were like, the fact that you've said this, Fredi, is allowed me, like, we know your story. We know you was involved in gangs. We know you got in, we know what you was about. And the fact that you're doing it, like, wow. So all these people were sharing. And I realized that sometimes when you share your pain and your trauma, it gives other people permission to share theirs as well. It's a weird space to be in the sense that I don't see myself as a victim. It's something that happened to me when I was a child. And the strangest thing about it is that it's almost like you're being groomed as a child, and I have no hatred for the person. It's really odd. You're supposed to hate the person that put you through that. You're supposed to like look at them in a certain way, and I don't even have that thing. I have the same emotion of love, despite what I went through, which is a very strange thing to sit with. And that was for me the most hardest part of sharing that. The fact that the world would want me to hate the person for what they've done, and my subconscious would want me to look at them like, why did you do that to me? And I just don't feel it, and I can't. And I'm not fake. I'm not going to pretend I do. I still feel the same love that I felt when I was a little kid. I just know that it was wrong, if that makes sense. But I know it was wrong, but I don't feel the hatred to the person. And I'm hoping that in me sharing my story, there's a lot of men out there and women, but predominantly the men out there, we know we don't speak as a whole. We suffer in silence. We find it hard to speak out about these things. I'm hoping I can give, even if one person has the strength to say, wow, like Fredi spoke about it, man. So I'm going to tell somebody. There's men out here, boys out here that are sitting in their rooms and they're scared to say anything. And they're just sitting in their rooms, just suffering and shaking and going to school. And people are bypassing the fact that they're in pain and they're just scared. And I'm just hoping that my book and my conversation will reinforce that it's okay to talk. It's okay. Do you know what I mean? No one ain't going to look at you. It's okay. Just speak your truth and let people know.
Did you feel better talking about it? Did you feel like you'd, did you feel it was cathartic?
Yeah, I felt light. It was I felt light. Do you know what? Joel, it was something that I was holding for many, many years. And it's a really weird thing for me because it happened from the ages of, I want to say 3, 4 till I was about 8, 9. And so I blocked it out. It did not exist in my world. I didn't even know it happened. And then when I got to my early teens and I started having relationships with women, I'd done most of the stuff with women when I was like 4. That's what made me think, what? And I blocked it out from then again till I was 40. So from the ages of 9, 10, right the way up until 40, it never happened. And it's only when I had this conversation with my sister, I had to check myself and go back. And then in writing the book and stuff like that, it really made me realize, wow, this is what's happened. And as a result of the book, I had a few people that grew up in the same town as me send me messages and get in contact with me. And they explained some things to me that really made sense. So, for example, the woman that was involved with my abuse, I was told now that she was a prostitute. I did not know that. And so then it made me look at things like, oh, wow, hurt people, they say. So was she being abused? Was she going through certain things that made her think it was all right to do it to me? Do you know what I mean? And it was things like this that made me start looking at things completely different. Before I looked at it at a different space. Now I'm looking at it like, well, not that it's okay, and I'm not giving her permission, but could this have been something that was happening to her in her childhood that's made her now think, oh, this is what you do? Do you know what I mean? It's such a weird space, but I don't hold no negativity towards her and what she done. It's more about, I feel free. I feel light. Do you know what I mean? I feel airy. I feel good to have released it and it feels good. It feels good to be able to just share that and hopefully give someone else out there who's going through something that lightness.
Yeah. I feel like I'm craving knowing more about you. I'd love you to tell me your story, like what it was like growing up. You were adopted by a white family. Is that? And then lived in obviously a very white seaside town. What was tell me a bit more about that. I've read Len Ceesay's book, which talks in depth about what that was like. Tell me what that was like for you growing up.
You know what, my childhood, believe it or not, the book would have you think it was really bad, but it was a beautiful time. I remember waking up in the mornings. My best friend, Robert White, lived directly opposite our house. And those were the days when you could go into someone's house and just walk in there, sit on the sofa and put the kettle on yourself, make yourself a cup of tea. I have to ask for a cup of tea. I go in and get my own cup of tea. You know what I mean? His mum was my mum. It was beautiful. We used to meet up and go down the back and go scrumping. For those that don't know, scrumping is when you climb into people's gardens and you steal their fruit. You used to go in there. It was like Tomb Raiders. It's like a Tomb Raiders. You look over the wall. It's like, Rob, should we go? And we're looking, and we climb over the wall and we got the tree, grab the apples or the pears, and then you hear, oi, oi, and then you got to run and jump over the wall and escape. We used to go in the cornfields and have big wars with listen. It was beautiful. Growing up in Deal was beautiful. And again, like I said, the children, we didn't see colour. We were just a group of boys having fun. Do you know what I mean? You go slow worming, go into the pond with the little fishing net, trying to catch newts, minnows and sticklebacks. It was really, it was a beautiful time, man. And I love Deal. Even now, when I go back to Deal now, there's a sense of home. I go back there with my sister sometimes and my family. I've still got, Robert White still lives there. It's beautiful, man. The first person I ever met in my world that I remember was a white boy called Robert White. That's my brother. I love that guy. That's my brother. And now, all these 54, 55 years later, we still talk and we're still best friends, and I still go there and see it. It's just beautiful, man. Yeah, you know, it makes me smile. You can see the teeth.
Yeah, I can see the teeth.
Know what I mean? Yeah, do you know what I mean? When I think about it, I've got so many fond memories, man, of just Deal and what it means to me, my foster parents, and just, like, it's beautiful, man. I love going there. I love it.
And do you recall experiencing any racism from adults when you were growing up? Do you recall ever like being treated differently?
Yeah, I mean, there were moments. I remember I got tied to a tree once, and left just in the woods, just tied to a tree. I just remember not thinking they were going to come back. That was like, yeah, that was a real scary moment. Just tied to tree. They used to come up to me at points, but these are more adults than children, like teens. They tried to scratch off my skin to see if the skin would come off and see what was underneath, put their hands in my hair, like, why is it different? I remember one time, which is quite funny actually, I think I wrote about it in my book. Me and my brothers were walking down a hill and we saw these Nazi skinheads and they were doing this. I thought they was waving, so I started waving back. I didn't I didn't know they were doing the do you know the Nazi thing? Yeah, hey, hello. I thought they were being friendly. You know what I mean? It's just the ignorance of a child. Yeah. So yeah, there were lots of moments of I got called every name under the sun. Do you know what I mean? I won't say it on the show because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, but I got called all kinds of names and looked at, and it's an odd thing. Now I look back on it again, I got invited everywhere, but was I invited because they like Fredi, or was I the black showpiece? You get invited to a party, look, we got the black boy at the party. Hey, look, everybody, he's here. Like, not almost like having a pet and you want to show off to everybody. But again, as a child, I just looked at it like I was that people like me. So I'm getting invited everywhere because, they like me. But now I'm looking back on it. Did they really like me, or was I the novelty piece? Do you know what I mean? Was I the party trick? Was I the, oh, look, we got the black boy at our party? So I don't know. But like I said, I wouldn't change nothing. If you ask me about would I change my childhood, I wouldn't change the abuse. I wouldn't change nothing. There's not one part of my childhood I would change.
And then how old were you when you moved to London?
I came back when I was, I want to say, first I came back when I was about, I think 7 or something like that. Then those ages, I came back. And then I was going back every summer, every Easter holidays while my foster parents were alive. There was a way of, they kind of integrated it where I was up here with my real family, but I was able to go there and spend the summers and the Easters. So I kind of kept the best of both worlds.
And when you were in London, did you move? Where did you move to?
I came to Brixton? Chelsea first. I was in Chelsea, Kings Road, for a while. And then my dad had a place in Brixton.
Today's podcast episode is sponsored by Koru Kids.
When my kids were younger, I never considered getting a nanny. It just seemed like something posh people do, something completely out of reach. Certainly for me. But times have really changed, and with nurseries, childminders and wraparound care, costs can really mount. And just imagine the peace of mind of having one person who your kids love, who you can rely on implicitly to look after your child in your home, someone who can handle school pickups, help with homework, sort dinner, and help the kids wind down. So you can finish your work guilt-free and come home to peace and serenity and be totally present with your kids. If I was to have another baby, which, I definitely won't be because I bought a dog instead, I would be considering nannies as an option. The flexibility, the simplicity, having one person you can fully trust.
I hear you. Shout out to the dog parents, me included. I need that in my life now. Koru Kids has full and part-time nannies that can work when your family actually needs them. Their nannies are vetted and trained, and they work all across the UK, so they will be where you are at. So why not have a look at their website, korukids.co.uk. It is free to search, and you can see what the cost difference is and whether it's a good fit for you. The korukids.co.uk, that's KORU kids.co.uk. So when I first heard about you, obviously Fredi Krueger, this must have been late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
So Fredi was a big rapper back in the day, and you were involved in some of the street life, I could say.
Yeah.
And I was at the Power of a Man Awards a few weeks ago, amazing event that Fredi hosted and founded. And on stage, you mentioned you'd lost 45 friends to gang violence.
Yeah.
I feel like, now I've said this many times on the podcast, I was scared to have a boy first because I know what it's like growing up, black boy in and around London. Trouble's going to find you some way or another. And I think there's a massive conversation about peer pressure. And I think so many young boys are going through adolescence, they're finding themselves, and the pressure to conform to certain groups and get involved in certain things, maybe just out of safety, first and foremost, because you want to be in the group and that's a safer thing to be with others, even if the thing they're doing isn't great and you know that, but you want to be involved in what they're doing for safety. I want to talk to you about pressure. Obviously, you moved to London. Your dad was in Brixton. You were involved in that life. As a young boy, how did you feel about like pressure to do certain things, and what do you talk to your boys now about?
Yeah, I think we see a lot of peer pressure going on. A lot of this stuff, for me, I believe starts off at home with parenting. I never had a great relationship with my mum, as I've said, and my dad. And so a lot of young people find other ways to fill that void. Hence why I joined one of South London's biggest gangs. Like we was outside doing a lot of stuff to a lot of people, stuff that I'm not proud of and whatever. But a lot of it came from not feeling almost accepted or loved at home. So where you've got a group of guys that are going to show you that love, and it wasn't this kind of gang. It's not really always a gang. A gang is something almost like the way the government have made it seem, because it's easy to give it some kind of narrative. But for us, it was just a group of guys. We were just hanging out, doing stuff together. A lot of young people find that same kind of thing. I go into schools, I go into prisons, I go into yachts and cruise and do lots of talks. And I find it over and over again that a lot of young people are being pressured, but it's not a pressure necessarily from other people to join. It's an internal pressure on themselves to want to be accepted. And there's a difference. If I'm saying to you, look, I want you to come and do this for me, I want you to come and do that, you can say no in most cases and people will let you go on your way. But if it's you feeling like you need to do it to belong, it's a whole different mind thing. And a lot of young people, where they're not feeling the love and the attention and the support at home from their parents or their siblings, they feel the pressure within themselves to be able to join something so that they can feel accepted. And then they will go out and search for these things. I've seen it in my own children to a certain degree. My 15-year-old one and my 19-year-old, now they know my life, they know my story, they know what I've been through. And I continuously tell them, show them, and I'm very open with them, the things I've been through, the things I've done, the things that I've seen, so that they don't have to be on that journey. But I still hear them talk in conversations with their friends, certain narratives that are like, almost they want to be a part of it because it's the cool thing to do. It's cool to be part of a gang, innit? It's cool to be out on the block with them and you're in McDonald's and you're sitting around and you've got your hoodies up. And a lot of them, it's not they want to join it because it's the violence part or we want to do stuff. It's just belonging to a section of people that are cool. It's the other bit that's added to it, which is the problem. Because in this group of coolness, there are a couple that will do things that are not cool. And then you get tarnished with the same brush. So I just say to parents all the time, if you as a parent or as a sibling do not give your children some form of stimulation that allows them to feel that it's enough. I'm not saying you've got to sit in their room every day and read books, but if you don't provide them with something, they will find it elsewhere. That's what's going to happen. They will find it elsewhere. If you don't stimulate your child, and it could be like spending time talking to them, man. You don't have to do you know what I mean? You don't have to take them out every night, but sometimes it's like, we're in this day and age where parents are happy with their kids in the bedroom playing PlayStation all day. And they're downstairs doing what they're doing. And the society's got us where we're working so hard. When we come home, we're tired, man. No one don't want to sit out talking to their children and spend time and taking them out. Because we as adults, we got our own life. We're tired as well, right? But we have to make an extra effort to make sure that we keep our children. Because if we don't keep them, especially boys, the street will come and take them. The streets will come and grab them. Do you know what I mean? They will take them away and then we'll be sitting here looking at each other like, what happened? What happened is you didn't have your hands on your children, man. Talk to them, go in their room, sit down with them. If someone got something new, where did you get that from? I never give you money to buy that. So where did you get it from? Do you know what I'm saying? You don't have a job. So you don't have a job and you got new trainers. Bro, where that come from? Do you know what I'm saying? You're supposed to ask these questions, man, because I didn't give you the money to buy £180 pair of trainers. So where did it come from then? So now we've got to have a dialogue now. We got to talk now and then let him explain to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Show interest, man. You've got to show interest, man.
Do you know, I'm always fascinated by certain friends I had that were able to go home with new trainers and new jackets. And it's like, your parents not asking you where you got the Avirex from. That's like a £200 jacket.
That's what I'm saying.
I could never come home with a new expensive garment.
No
and my dad
way.
just look at me and think, okay, Elliot, like, you just found that on the street.
That's what I'm saying. And these are important things. Things. And we have a lot, and I'm seeing more of this culture where parents are almost scared of their children. Like, what? I don't understand. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, these things there, like you just said, You couldn't come home with like a jacket or a trainer or a new car outside. They ain't got a license. You know what I'm saying? Like, where did this come from? Are you not asking the question like, okay, I didn't give you £500, son. That Moncler jacket is 400 and something pounds. All right, where did you get it from? And even if he's got to turn around and say, oh, okay, this is what happened. It's opened the dialogue now for you then to have that conversation. You have to have this dialogue. You have to. It's important.
Talk to us about, okay, so you came to London. What was life like then, I guess, settling in from Deal to London?
That's what, I mean, yeah, that was nuts. Like I said, people didn't like me because I was into all of the music, and the white people didn't like me because I was black. So I went for a big transition. Then I started to almost become liked because of the things that I was doing. Music. I started rapping, for example. I mean, a bit later, but I started rapping at the garden. It's been a long journey. It wasn't like I came to London and all of a sudden I was cool. Do you know what I mean? I came back, big lips. I used to get teased. Bro. They gave me names like Liplodocus because my lips were big. Then I got called, they used to make songs, Lippity Doodah, Lippity Day. Then my face grew into my lips in it. So it was not too bad. But I used to have dry afro, dry skin, big lips. I was African, so I got teased by all the other culture. It was just a lot of work to try and become cool. Do you know what I mean? And then as time went on, I started to rap and got involved in bodyguarding, looked after some greats. And I became cool over a long period of time, if that makes sense. And then, yeah, that's kind of my journey. But I didn't see it as a trying to be. It just happened over as time went on. I saw other people. That's how I got into music, to be fair. I saw somebody performing and everyone was cheering him. And I was like, wow, he's got friends, like people like him. So I was like, if I could do that as well, people will like me, right? So then I taught myself to do that and people started to like me. And it kind of, like I said in the book, when you find the boy, it makes sense because now all the things that I've done growing as an adult, I've always, for the most part, been so that people can see me because I wasn't seen as a child. So I look at all the things I've done and I'm like, oh, that's why I've written a book. That's why I've made 11 movies. That's why I rapped. Do you know what I mean? They're all things that have made me be seen because I wasn't seen.
That's so interesting. You know, I've been thinking quite a lot about my motivation as well recently. I think part of my motivation, so I had a big incident when I finished school, went to uni, and then a group of boys it was a bit of a mad altercation. I wrote about it in the dad book, but it was quite violent and whatever. Part of, I think, why I worked so hard in my 20s and 30s was I wanted to kind of get my revenge, but it wasn't revenge in regards to I'm going to like do what you did to me, but I'm going to be successful. And you're going to see me be successful. And that's going to be my kind of revenge. And it's only recently where I've kind of resolved that. And I'm no longer doing things because those people that did that thing to me 20 years ago hurt me. And they're going to see that what you did to me isn't going to define me. And I'm bigger than that. And it's been crazy, like having to work through that. Okay, what's inside of me? What do I need to kind of let go a little bit of? And what do I kind of need to get a new motivation?
But that's exactly like why, if you think about it, look at boy. When you find the boy, you discover the man. Now, you see what you just said there? A lot of people would not know your motivation over the years to why you've been so successful. But you see, like now, if you look back at the boy and the things you went through, now it makes sense. I'm like, that's why Elliott's killing it out here. Because he went through certain things and man tried to have him up and this happened. And now in his head, he's like, I'm not going to come back at you guys physically, but I'm going to make you lot see my success. Do you know what I'm saying? And these are the kind of things that for a lot of us, when you find the child, you discover the adult. You know what I mean? Joeli, I know there's something in your story there. I know this, she's sitting there. I know there's something in you. There's something in your past that's made you so successful. We're just waiting to hear it. I'm waiting to hear it.
I've just been listening to Davina McCall talking to Jamelia on Davina McCall's podcast, and they both said that the reason why they're both being successful was because they were performing for a parent. Like Davina just desperately wanted a mum to love her, and Jamelia desperately wanted her mum to love her and see her because they just felt completely ignored. And it was all about performing for the parent to try and get them to love them. Like, if I do this and achieve this, my mum will finally love me. And they've both acknowledged that now and realised that it gave them a lot, actually. Like, they've managed to achieve an enormous amount, but really at the heart of it was all about wanting to be loved. And obviously I built Pregnant Then Screwed. I think trauma has a lot to play sometimes in motivation, doesn't it? And I built Pregnant Then Screwed as a result of being pushed out of my job when I was pregnant and being really traumatized by that and in a right mess, and then having these really difficult decisions to make about whether I access justice, which could potentially have killed my baby that I was brewing, and all of that I found really traumatic. And so the success I've had since then partly was about me going, fuck you. You made a mistake, bitch. Like,
wow. I'm like, I didn't even know I didn't even know I could swear.
I actually don't.
Wow. I didn't even know I could swear.
That. I don't actually.
You can swear.
Yeah, you swear. Go. But I don't feel like that anymore. I actually think if I saw the woman who did it to me, I'd be like, thanks. Do you know what? Thank you.
Exactly that. And that's the beautiful thing. And this is what it's so like, even having this conversation, it's such a beautiful thing to know that the one thing that we all have in common is childhood, right? We all have childhood in common, and the things you go through as a child into your teens, we all have these journeys. And it's very interesting when you look back at people that have been through some kind of trauma, because it shapes the person they become for all of us. But people make choices and go different ways. And so, like, again, talking to both of you and seeing the success you both had and where you're at, it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like, of course, of course.
Do you know
what I mean?
My wife says your message is your message. And for me, I like you, Fredi, like, you know, I haven't been through half the things that you've been through, but I wouldn't change some of the traumatic events in my life. I wouldn't change them because I wouldn't be who I am now. I wouldn't have the motivation, the drive, the perspective in life, you know, the ability to put myself in uncomfortable situations. I don't think I would have that if I hadn't been through a certain amount of pain. So, you know, we use that pain, isn't it? And I think I want to talk to you about the 45. When you on the stage at the Power of Man Awards, you said 45, you've lost 45 people. And throughout the book, you do name some people and whatnot. How have you processed that? Have you come to the point where you're okay with that? I think, you know, we started this podcast talking about so many men walking around with trauma that's unresolved, and so many men that have been through stuff. You know, in our sessions all the time, in our dad circles, men will bring devastating experiences to the table and they haven't unpacked it, they haven't resolved it. So I just want to know, for you, how have you got to the point where you're okay? You know, loads of people aren't okay after that. Loads of people lose their minds. Loads of people aren't doing what you're doing. How have you got to the point where you're still you after all that stuff you've been through?
It's very odd, you know, like, so when my mum passed away, I mean, it's about the same thing. Yeah. I went to counseling more so from, well, it was a work thing. They sent me to go and do this counseling stuff. And I was talking to the counselor and the therapist and explaining my past, right? And things that had been happening in my life. And then he said to me, wow, I know soldiers that have not experienced as much death as you. And it made me think, like, the PTSD thing. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, soldiers go to war and they expect to come across death. But here you are living in Brixton and you've witnessed, I mean, I've had to hold in people's stomachs because it's come out. I've had people die in my arms. I've seen a lot and done a lot. But it just became normal for me. Like, it's really, like, I don't even know how I process it. And they say that when you go through these kind of traumas, it finds its way elsewhere. So I don't know if I've dealt with it, if I'm honest, if I've actually dealt with it. I still believe it's a living part of who I am today, but I've just learned how to channel it into other things. I don't know. I wouldn't say, yeah, I've dealt with it and I'm okay with it. I've just learned how to navigate the space of what was violence and death and crime. And I mean, I've carried loads of coffins. Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff and done a lot of stuff. And I feel like it's something that you can never really deal with, because every time someone dies around you or someone's close to you that gets killed or you do something or hurt somebody, it's a different experience. And whereas one day you might see it as you're devastated, the next one might not be so painful. I think it's just become part of who I am. And I've learned to navigate that space. But have I dealt with it? Honestly, I'm not going to sit in and say, yeah, I've dealt with it, I'm cool. No, I don't think I'm cool. I just think I've managed to let it become part of who I am. And I've accepted that when I was in that space of gangs and violence and bodyguard and crime, it went part and parcel. It's like working in the kitchen. If you're a baker and you get flour in your face, do you know what I mean? You expect it because you're in that space. So you just wipe it off and carry on. It became a bit like that. I'm walking around with a gun or a knife and I'm going to doing certain things. It became part and parcel of what happens when you're in that and it just became part of who I was. So have I dealt with it? Nah. I still have demons every now and then. I still have flashbacks. I still get triggered by little things that happen every now and then, but I just let it become part of who I am, and I just sit with it and pray.
Let's talk about masculinity. We've had big conversations about what it means to be a man, online influences, a lot of pressure that men face to be strong but also be vulnerable. And I think a lot of men are trying to figure out who they are in this world now and what their value is. What's your take on the conversation about like modern masculinity? What do you think it means to be a man right now?
Yeah, well, it's definitely changed. Because I remember being a man meant being strong, not showing no vulnerability, not crying. I remember going into clubs, and you go into a club in a bar and your face is scrum. And like a girl would say, "Hi, Freddie." I'm like, "How you say, babe? You right? You good?" I'll kiss her then, but she goes, "Wait." Do you know what I mean? So you wasn't angry, bro. You wasn't angry. You wasn't vexed, but that was your line of armor. We come into a place, the screw face, the big chest was your line of armor, but that wasn't really how you felt. And we was taught to be, that's what men look like. Visually on TV, you see the men like that. And in the society, you see men like that. Now we're in a time where we kind of understand more that to be vulnerable gives you more strength. It's just that we're trying to teach our young people that. For me, masculinity, that word's always odd for me. Say it for me.
Masculinity.
That one. That there looks to me like somebody who can be strong when they need to be strong and weak when they need to be weak. Let's look at bamboo. You see bamboo now? Bamboo is one of the strongest things we have out here. It bends when it needs to, right? It's flexible and don't snap, but it can also hold up some of the big things that you see. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like elastic as well. Look how flimsy it is. It knows how to be strong when it needs to be strong, but it also knows how to be bendy and flexible, weak. And that's what I think masculinity looks like. I done it. Masculinity. I got it. Masculinity.
You got it.
Yeah, I got
We're
it.
not thinking about it. It just flows.
No, yeah, it just came off. I'm gonna keep saying masculinity. Yeah, so that's what I think masculinity looks like now. It's knowing when to be strong, but also knowing when to be weak, knowing when to be transparent and knowing when to not say something, knowing when to be firm, but also knowing when to be soft.
Do you think change for you to go from doing the screwy face, hard man look, like that being your vision of masculinity, to understanding the importance of vulnerability and emotion? What was the trigger for that sea change in the way you viewed yourself?
I think it was a couple of things. I think one was my oldest son, Malachi, young Kruger, when I tell him all the time how much I love him and how much he saved my life. Because at that point when he was born, but prior to that, I was doing way too much involved in the gang scene. And I think having a child softens you. It makes you feel, and I think because of my past, all the things that I didn't have, I wanted to be alive to give him what I think he deserved and be there for him as a good dad. The things that I didn't really have as a father, from my father. My dad was a good dad, but I didn't get the things that I think I needed, the hugs. Like me and Malachi, it's hugs, it's kisses, it's dad, I love you, I love you more. We do all that stuff, you know what I mean? Like we try and outlove each other. And it's the same, you know what I mean? And it's the same with all my kids. I love you, I love you more, and I love you more. We fighting for love here. We do that. And I think that was part of the thing that kind of growing up from there, that point on to where I am to now, today, is kind of the change and the softening and do you know what I mean? Like when you really, as a parent, when you really love on your children, you get so much more back. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of parents look at raising children like a chore. Do you know what I mean? Because it's one of those things that you have no choice technically. Like you can go to a job and you can leave, but you can't, well, you can, some parents leave their kids, but I'm saying for the most part, it's not a chore. You know what I mean? And if you look at it for what it is and you put time and energy into loving your children and loving them, the rewards are so much better and different. The energy you get back is different. Yeah. And that's, I think, for me, what my change was. And that made me, when I started seeing, do you know what I mean? It's like when you go fishing. When you go fishing for the first time, you don't catch a fish. No, man, I don't know if I want to do this again, man. It's cold, it's wet, I didn't catch nothing. But if you go fishing and you catch a fish for the first time, you're hooked. Now you want to catch a bigger fish and fish in bigger lakes. Because it's a bit like parenting. When you love your kids and then they come one day and give you a hug and say, thanks, Dad. You're like, oh, wow. Do you know what I mean? You want to do more because you're getting that love back. You want to do more for them. It's like, and that's kind of like what happened for me. I think when I was giving and seeing that if I behave a certain way with my children, you actually get that appreciation back. It made me want to do more.
And because it must have been really hard to have left your previous life behind. If that was your family before
Yeah.
you had a family, walking away from that must have been really difficult.
Do you know what it was? The gang thing didn't really, this is what I'm saying. It didn't, okay, so the gang was a big gang, but it didn't feel like a gang. Like the word gang, back then, we weren't a gang. It became a gang when the government and the society turned it into that word. But back then, we were just a big group of guys that hung out, went clubs together. If you trouble one of us, now you're troubling all of us. But we were friends, and there's no difference
Right.
how it is today for the most part, except for now, if you see a bunch of kids together, they're a gang. Whereas back then it was just about a group of friends. And for me, I think what helped me more than anything was I was doing other things as well. I was rapping, I was chatting on the sound systems. So as much as I was involved in it, I was also doing other things here and there. And also a lot of the people that I was hanging around with, rest in peace, a lot of the rivals we had were getting killed. People were dying, some were going to prison. So as a natural progression, it kind of faded out. Do you know what I mean? People started getting older, went and got jobs, went and had families. Some were dying, some ended up in hospital on drugs. It just faded itself out until it just wasn't no more. And then
Yeah, I see.
it's different today for a lot of young people, because now that term gang has made them into gangs. And so the peer pressure is different to what we had back in the day. So now it is, they see themselves as gangs. And again, a lot of these things are mindset based, right? So when we were younger, we didn't see ourselves as a gang. But these young kids now see themselves belonging to a gang. And they will talk about, I'm part of this gang, or I'm in this gang. They see themselves as a gang. So that makes it a lot harder if they want to leave, because they joined, whereas we didn't join. We were just a group of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freddie, this has been incredible, seriously.
I've
enjoyed this
will you
so
rap
much.
for us? Will you do a...
When was the last time someone asked you to rap, Freddie?
Look, I came up on Soul Train, Soul Plane. I was a skinny guy with no frame and no name. Back in those days, most braids came up on Mob Nas and Ghostface. My beard's a ghost face. I had a couple of close shaves. To be fair, I was 30 in most raves, most days. I got away with murder, OJ. Running around sipping OJ, listening to Cool J and Coldplay. I was about paper. When you saw my south face in a north face, I used to roll with a gun and roll with a coarse face. Braids watch my movements to Inspector Morse, but beef will leave your face the same shade as strawberry sorbet. I'm in the hallway by the doorway with guys who put other guys up against the wall like a family portrait. Guys who move weight, I call them Kellogg's because they make mad corn from flakes. There you go.
Hey! The first rap on To Be a Boy ever. It only took us about a year, but we got there.
I love that I asked you to rap and Elliott looked at me like I was the embarrassing mum, like, oh God, here we go.
Can you rap for me? Well, that was a good choice, because that was good, man. I enjoyed that.
I'm like, do I have to? This is going to be, but for you guys, nah, you know what? Real talk, I love you guys' podcast, man. Like, it's so crazy because when the book came out, it's been doing crazy numbers, and someone said to me, oh, have you seen that podcast To Be a Boy? You need to get on that. You need to get on that. And I was like, yeah? And like, yeah, the podcast is amazing. It's wicked. And here I am. And it's like, it's just beautiful to be. And the conversation, like I get invited on podcasts all the time. And for the most part, I do it. This is me being honest, brutally honest. I do podcasts for the most part and don't always feel like I'm getting anything out of it. Like I'm just doing it because it's what you do, right? But the conversation has been beautiful. And so I want to thank you guys for not only inviting me, but also it feels beautiful. The conversation feels real. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like I'm on someone's podcast. It feels like we're just having a conversation. So I'm taking stuff out of this as well. So thank you, man.
Thank you, Freddie, so much.
Feelings mutual, Freddie. Thank you.
It is.
What
And you know what?
I
think it's so important that we have you here, because we talk about role models so much. There's a lack of role models. There's no good men, blah, blah, blah. And you're one of those role models.
Thank you, man.
I think if you work in a school, if you work in a college, anywhere with young people, book Freddie to go in and talk to them. Because if you came into my school when I was 15, I'm pretty sure the things you said would have changed my life that way. So the way you speak about being a father, the way you speak about all your experiences, that you're so honest, you connect with people so easily, you're funny, you're articulate. Like, I love the way you deliver your messages, and it's been a real privilege for me. It's a real privilege for our audience. So thank you so much. Go and get Freddie's book. Boy, it's incredible. Go get the book. Go get the book. Go get the book. The link's going to be in the show notes. We'll promote it all over our socials as well. But Freddie, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you guys, man. Thank you guys, man. It's been an honor.
Thank you so much.